Good morning, everybody. Welcome to part 3, the penultimate part of whenever you sign a work contract, sell your time, not your soul. Today's video will cover the years 2020 up to 2023, whereas especially the years 2020 to 2022, don't quote me on anything. It's all blurred out in my mind. Got no sense of time at all in this period. You all know why. Must be due to a lack of oxygen. Anyway, at this point in time, my department, my finance department, consists of Betty, team leader, me, Mike, Steve, Julia, Nadja, controlling, although she doesn't play a role, she doesn't work with us, it's more little aside. And above it all, Bob, as God. Now, during all those years since 2014, I built up a reputation of reliability, never called in sick even for one day, professionalism, knowledge, and respect. I was, or my department was a team you should take into account. Although there have been people that try to challenge us. Remember a short story was an assistant, was new in the company, came to my office, very rude, and said, I am the assistant of Dr. blah blah, and I want this and this and this and that, and I need this in 1 hour. And I said, I know exactly who you are, and I know your salary as well. Nobody comes into my room, tells me what to do. If you need help, you ask. And if you don't know who you are dealing with, think about it. Once you've figured it out, you can come back. And now leave my room. By the way, that happened at a time where Geoff, our CFO, was still with us. And so she left my office. Shortly after, Geoff came into my room and said, Mike, can you do a reporting for Dr. La La La? He needs this and that. And I said, sure. Takes him about 10 minutes. No big deal. Did this assistant talk to you? And he said, yes, she's new. She doesn't know who you are. Give her some time. Now, during all those times of new hires, terminations, people quitting, was stressful because I was the one who was always there. And whenever somebody quit, I had to do his job on top. When somebody new started, I had to train him. So, very stressful. And stress is something that you just don't want to have in finance department. Because when you're stressed, you make mistakes. You're dealing with money. Can be pretty dangerous. And one day, I made a mistake. It was not dangerous, so we didn't lose anything. But it was pretty stupid. Would never have done that with a clear conscience. Anyway, I went to Bob and I said, Bob, sorry, I can't stand it anymore. Completely stressed out. I make mistakes that I've never done before. I can't do it anymore. And he just leaned back in his chair and said, Mike, you know what? This is the first time that I don't have to worry about the finance department. There have been years I was waking up with pain in my stomach. Now, no. Everything's working fine. I don't have to worry at all. So relax. Everything's fine. If you need some days off, you tell me. So I knew, as long as we are open and honest, we have the back of our CEO. That was a pretty damn good feeling. So, I guess must have been 2021 when we hired Kelly. And I think it was, I don't know, the first interviews happened while I was on the Camino de Santiago. And we were still in the midst of the pandemic, so everything has been done over Teams. So I haven't seen her before. But Steve, my colleague, had talked to her on the phone. They shared Instagram accounts. And he sent me the link to her Instagram account. And she looked like, let's say, the centerfold of the hustler. The older guys know what I'm talking about. Short explanation in between. In my office, we were making the accounting for 4 different locations. One, the location where we were located, has to be done by 2 people because it was just too big. Then 2 smaller locations has to be done by 1 person, and another location by another. So, Kelly, yeah, she was my second part in my location. So I had to work together with her, means I had to do the training. Whereas nobody else would have been able to do that. And Kelly came from a smaller company, and yeah, she was kind of stiff, you know, sticking to rules. Everything has to be accurate. Doesn't work like that at Milk and Honey Consulting, because, you know, you had to work like a mixture of a rough hand and just close your eyes and let it go, just to keep the business going. Short story. I explained to her our cash reporting, and I showed her how I do that, and in the end was pretty fine. I had a delta of about 5,000 euros. There's a turnover of about 1.5 million, so 5,000 euros. Psst. This is bullshit, it's condensation water. Just cheat the number away. She was like, yeah, but where does the difference come from? There must have been a mistake. We must find the difference. We must find the mistake. And I said, for what? Doesn't make any difference. Yeah, but we have to find it. I said, okay, I'm sure we will find it. So let's give it a try. And of course we found the difference. Every single cent of it took us about 3 hours. I said, look, does your report look any different? No. I said, no. And I know that there's a difference and I know where it results from, but why should I look for it? Makes no sense at all. Nobody notices it, and everything looks the same as before. Apart from that you burned 3 hours of your lifetime. Anyway, by the time she got a little more relaxed, and I had my, let's say, particular workflow and how to save the files, where to save the files, and kind of organization. And she was always like, oh, can't we do it like this one? Or can't we do it like that? Or I want to do it like this. And I always said, yes, of course. And one day I said, Kelly, don't get me wrong. If you want me that we do something different, and I say yes, it's not weakness, or it's not that I want to do you a favor, just because I don't care, just because it doesn't make any difference at all. If you want to have it like that, have fun with it. But don't think that I do it for you. Now at this point, I don't know if I got confused. We are talking about my new colleague, Peggy, not Kelly. Kelly's appearance is a little later. So now, for the accounting in our home location was me and Peggy. For the other small location was Julia. And this time, since we didn't have anyone else for those other 2 small locations, I had to do that accounting as well. And we had to hire someone new. So we hired a new girl, old lady. She was kind of my age, 26. Marcy. And she was employed for 30 hours a week, so part-time, because companies said not necessary, those 2 locations are too small, 30 hours is enough. Now, since every location has its own little specialities, I was the only one who could work in every location because I've done everything before. So, not that I trained Marcy to do her job, I also had to support her. Now, our business hours have been Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And when you work 30 hours part-time, either you work only 4 days, or you work 5 days, 6 hours. Now, the problem is, in an 8-hour business, you have 8 hours of business. And in general, when you leave after 6 hours, there's still a ton of work coming in. Guess who would have to do it? And more often, Marcy called me and said, oh Mike, I still have to do this and this today, but 15 minutes, my 6 hours are over and I go home. Can you do that? I said, yeah, sure, can. Or like, I just got an email, I don't know what he's talking about, he wants to know something, and in 10 minutes I clock out because my 6 hours are over. Can you take care for that? Sure. So, Marcy is expected from me to work overtime if necessary, so that she can clock out in time. So one day when I had her on the phone, I said, Marcy, I put that all on a list. She said, why? What? I said, everything that I do for you, I put on the list. Why'd you do that? I said, because so many times I do something for you. Do you remember the last time that you did something for me? She got quiet as she said, no, I can't remember. I said, I can. Never. You never did anything for me. And so from this moment, whenever she called, she said, oh Mike, I have something else to put on the list. Nothing changed. And every time I had to, let's say, take over her work, it looked so horrible. And I got the feeling that she was pretty overwhelmed with her tasks and didn't say anything at all. Now, some months later, no, she didn't quit. She called in sick for more than a year. In fact, she's starting now, September 1st. Who? So, Marcy was out of order. And we needed someone for those 2 locations. So we hired Kelly, this time Kelly. And this time I was involved in the recruiting process. And when I went through the documents and I saw her application, I saw her picture, was immediately, I don't give a shit. I want that one. Because she looked like someone you could have fun with. Because, you know, I always say life is serious, work is serious. Let's have a little fun. I like making bad jokes at work. I like dark humor, pranks, stuff like that. And Kelly's photo looked like someone who you could do exactly those things with. Would have been the perfect companion for me. And this, my friends, is where the drama started. So, stay tuned for the 4th part and scheduled last part, I don't know, of my story at Milk and Honey Consulting. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you.